how much time and, well, how much budget are you really willing to lose on a sales hire that was just doomed from day one?
Yeah, that is a pretty brutal reality check.
It really is. But, I mean, if you're a leader listening to this deep dive right now, like, a founder, a hiring manager, or an executive trying to build a revenue engine, this is the exact scenario you face the moment you decide to scale.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you feel this intense pressure from your board or your investors.
Right.
You need traction. You need to build pipeline. So you do what seems entirely logical.
Right. You just decide to hire a salesperson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to unpack why that is a trap. Welcome to today's deep dive, where our mission is to uncover exactly how early-stage companies can achieve long-term sales success.
And avoid some very expensive mistakes along the way.
Yes. We're pulling from a deeply insightful source today from Wynn Nathan Davis at The Sales Experts.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
It's called Building Your First Sales Team, where startups go wrong.
Yeah.
And, it really highlights why that specific instinct, just putting a talented professional in a seat and expecting revenue to magically follow, is the primary reason companies derail their growth.
Well, yeah, because the assumption is that the talent will just, figure it out.
Right.
But diving into the source material, we see it's not just about picking the wrong resume out of a stack. I mean, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what a first sales hire is actually mechanically capable of doing inside a new business.
So let's get right into it. The most prevalent mistake. The text calls this the vacuum trap.
The vacuum trap, yeah.
Which is such a good name for it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of leaders essentially drop a new salesperson into a complete void.
They really do.
They hand them a laptop, a rough beta version of the product, maybe a spreadsheet of random contacts, and they just say, go sell.
And the mechanical failure there is absolute. I mean, a salesperson cannot create structure where none exists.
Right. Talent doesn't compensate for a total lack of foundation.
Exactly. When Nathan Davis points out that before you even draft a job description, you have to lock down 4 critical pillars. Like, if these aren't defined, you are actively engineering your new hire's failure.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I really want to get into the how and why behind these pillars, not just the what.
Sure.
So first up is the ideal customer profile, or, the ICP. And I got to say, it is staggering how many startups think their ICP is just...
small to medium businesses in North America.
Yes, exactly. That's not a profile. That's just a demographic.
Right.
You need to know exactly who is buying based on their specific behaviors and, triggering events.
Yeah. Think about the mechanics of a cold outreach campaign, right? If a new hire is calling just generic small businesses, they're going to hit a brick wall of apathy.
Oh, totally. Just immediate hangups.
But if your defined ICP is, let's say, mid-market logistics companies that have just experienced a merger and are bleeding margin on warehouse inefficiencies.
Oh, yeah, that is specific.
Exactly. Your new hire suddenly knows exactly who to target and what specific pain point to agitate.
Which leads directly into the second pillar, which is having a clear value proposition.
Right.
And again, this isn't just a bulleted list of software features. This is the distinct, measurable problem you are solving compared to the alternatives that are already in the market.
Because if you drop a salesperson into a vacuum without a tested value proposition, what happens?
They just pitch features.
They pitch features instead of business outcomes, yeah.
Yeah.
And the prospects just tune them out completely.
Right. So then you have the third pillar, which is your sales motion.
This one is huge.
It is. Because, are you outbound led, meaning your team is aggressively cold calling and hunting for new business?
Yeah.
Or are you inbound driven, relying on marketing to funnel warm prospects to an account executive?
Or maybe it's founder-led or even product-led, where the product is mostly self-serve and the sales team just steps in to upsell.
Exactly. Because the fundamental mechanics of how a deal flows through your organization, that dictates the exact psychological profile of the person you actually need to hire.
Spot on. And then the final pillar is achieving an early proof of concept.
And we should clarify, you don't need massive global scale at this stage.
No, not at all. But you absolutely need undeniable, hard evidence that a customer is willing to open their wallet and pay real money for what you've built.
Right. A free trial user saying, hey, this is cool, does not count as a proof of concept.
It definitely does not.
But wait, let me push back on this premise for a second.
Okay, go for it.
Because if I'm an executive, right, and I'm paying a massive base salary plus aggressive commission to bring in a top-tier sales superstar, shouldn't I expect them to figure these 4 pillars out?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. Like, why am I paying a premium if they can't just build the machine themselves?
So that is actually the most common blind spot for executives. You're conflating two entirely different disciplines here.
Okay, how so?
Well, there is a massive mechanical difference between executing a proven sales process and discovering a sales process from scratch.
Ah, executing versus discovering.
Right. A great salesperson is a multiplier. They take an equation that already works and they make it run faster, wider, and deeper.
That makes sense.
But discovering the core value proposition, testing the market fit, refining that ideal customer profile we talked about, that's product development work.
Wow. Yeah, it really is.
It's discovery work. If you hire someone whose entire career is built on executing and you force them to discover,
Yeah.
they will freeze.
Because they're looking for the playbook, and you're essentially asking them to write the playbook from scratch.
Exactly.
So, okay, if the first hired salesperson isn't supposed to figure out that fundamental sales motion, whose job is it? Who is supposed to be doing this brutal discovery work?
The founders.
Just the founders.
The founders. In almost every successful startup that achieves sustainable scale, the very first sales are not made by a hired professional. They are made by the founders themselves. When Nathan Davis highlights that this stage is, well, it's completely non-negotiable.
Okay, I hear that. But let's play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
What if the founder is like a deeply introverted engineer? You know, they build brilliant code, but the idea of getting on a Zoom call to pitch a stranger makes them physically cringe.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Are you telling me they still have to be the one dialing the phone and generating a sales lead? And I'm saying lead, pronounced lead, like a new prospect, just dialing for dollars?
They absolutely do.
Really?
Yes, because the goal of those initial founder-led sales calls isn't actually to close $1 million enterprise contract.
It's not.
No, the goal is data collection. It's about understanding the customer in a way a hired representative simply cannot.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like when a founder pitches a product and the prospect pushes back, the founder instantly realizes, oh, our messaging is wrong, or uh-oh, we're missing a critical feature.
Right, the founder can just pivot.
Exactly. They take that feedback, they iterate the product that same night, and then they pitch a better version the next day.
Whereas a hired salesperson doesn't have the authority to change the product roadmap.
Not at all.
They just hit the objection, log it in the CRM as a lost deal, and move on. So the feedback loop is entirely broken.
Exactly. When founders refuse to sell because they feel it's beneath them or, just because they're uncomfortable, they end up placing wildly unrealistic expectations on that first hire.
They're secretly hoping an outsider will come in and validate the entire business model for them.
Right. It's outsourcing product market fit, and it is a guaranteed failure.
You know, it makes me think of opening a restaurant.
Oh, okay. I like this.
A founder who refuses to sell is basically like a restaurant owner who signs a lease, builds an entire kitchen, and then hires a line cook on day one and says, hey, figure out what kind of food we serve, test all the recipes, and just make sure people like it.
That is absurd.
It's totally absurd. The founder has to be the one in the kitchen, testing ingredients, figuring out what the early customers actually crave.
Right.
And only after the recipe's perfected can you hire a chef to replicate it at scale.
That analogy holds up perfectly. Because once the founder has done that grueling work, they finally have a recipe. They have the 4 pillars in place.
Right.
And now, and only now, is it time to bring in the first true sales hire.
Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy of that first hire. Because if there is one thing this source material makes explicitly clear, it's that executives naturally gravitate toward the absolute worst possible profile for an early-stage company.
Yeah, the psychological trap here is fascinating.
It really is.
Picture this. You're a founder or an executive, you're looking at a stack of resumes, and you see a candidate who spent the last 10 years crushing their quota at a massive billion-dollar tech giant, like Salesforce or Oracle.
Right. The lizard brain immediately says, this person knows what success looks like. We need this pedigree to guarantee our sales success.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be seduced by the logo. I want that Formula One driver on my team.
But hiring an enterprise closer from a mega corporation to be your startup's first sales hire is exactly like hiring a Formula One driver to build a rally car.
Oh, wow. That's a great way to put it.
Right. Yes, the F1 driver knows how to drive at 200 miles an hour on a perfectly paved track. They're backed by a team of 50 mechanics. They have unlimited telemetry data.
They have a massive machine behind them.
Exactly. But if you drop that same driver into the middle of the jungle with a box of spare parts and tell them to build a vehicle that can survive the mud, they are going to crash.
Because the mechanics of their success are completely tied to an environment that you just do not have.
Precisely.
In the industry, we often talk about the difference between a farmer and a hunter.
Yes.
And someone coming from a massive organization is almost always a farmer. They are brilliant at taking an existing patch of fertile land, like a huge database of warm clients, or a $1 million marketing budget driving inbound interest and maximizing the yield.
But a startup doesn't have fertile land yet.
No, it's just dirt.
Right. A startup needs a hunter. You need someone who can walk out into the absolute wilderness, generate their own pipeline through aggressive outbound activity, and, track down a fresh sales lead, and again, pronounced lead, with zero brand recognition to support them.
Zero.
If you put a farmer in a role that requires heavy self-directed prospecting, they will literally starve.
They really will.
They'll spend their first 3 months asking where the case studies are, why the CRM isn't customized, and where their inbound meetings are.
And the source material highlights a couple of other dangerous mismatches too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There's the trap of hiring someone way too senior. You bring in a VP level strategist because, well, they sound incredibly smart in the interview.
Oh, they always sound great in the interview.
Right. But they want to sit in a boardroom, design organizational charts, and debate high-level theory. And your fundamentals aren't even fully proven yet.
Exactly. You need someone rolling up their sleeves and dialing the phone, not someone managing a team that doesn't even exist.
Yeah. And then the inverse is equally dangerous, which is hiring someone too junior just to save money.
Right, because a junior representative needs heavy hand-holding. They need an established step-by-step playbook, and they need constant daily management.
And a startup founder just does not have the bandwidth to be a full-time sales trainer.
Not if they want the business to survive, no.
So the ideal profile is this hybrid builder.
Yes, the builder.
They have enough experience to operate independently in total ambiguity, but they aren't so senior that they refuse to do the grunt work.
Right. They can generate their own pipeline, close deals independently, and adapt rapidly because they know the airplane is basically still being built while they're flying it.
Okay, but relying on your gut instinct to identify that hybrid builder is a massive risk. People are good at interviewing.
Oh, they're great at it. And this is exactly where the sales experts introduce structured frameworks to completely remove the guesswork. Yeah, they utilize 2 specific systems, the 5-stage sales team scaling system and the sales hunter intelligence evaluation.
I love when we can move from theory into actual implementation.
Yeah.
How do those frameworks actually operate mechanically? Like, how does a leader use them to avoid getting seduced by the big tech resume?
Let's look at the sales hunter intelligence evaluation first. It fundamentally changes how you interview.
Okay.
Instead of asking a candidate, "Are you a hunter?" which, let's be real, everyone will answer yes to.
Of course they will.
The evaluation tests for behavioral indicators. It simulates the reality of the startup. You present a scenario where the candidate has no marketing collateral, no established brand presence, and just a list of 100 cold contacts.
So you're basically testing their reflex.
Precisely. You observe how they structure their first week. A farmer will immediately reveal themselves by asking questions about budget, support staff, and inbound flow.
They'll look for the resources.
Right. But a true hunter will start outlining their outreach cadence, their angle for penetrating the accounts, and how they plan to bypass gatekeepers.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, the evaluation objectively measures their capacity to thrive in a low-resource environment.
And what about the 5-stage sales team scaling system? How does that keep the leadership team aligned?
So it forces the executive team to clearly define the reality of the role before a single candidate is ever contacted. Stage 1 is pure foundation, locking down the ICP and the value proposition we discussed earlier. Stage 2 is profile definition based on the actual sales motion.
So matching the motion to the person.
Exactly. If your motion requires 6-month sales cycles with multiple stakeholders, the system ensures you're evaluating for stamina and complex deal navigation rather than quick transactional closing skills.
And it sets the parameters for success in the first 30, 60, and 90 days, right?
It does.
It creates absolute clarity up front, rather than bringing someone on board and spending 6 months arguing about why they aren't hitting some arbitrary quota.
And the compounding business impact of using these frameworks is what really matters.
Let's talk about that impact.
When you match the right builder to the actual stage of your business, the momentum just shifts dramatically. Pipeline generation starts earlier because they aren't sitting around waiting for marketing.
Right.
And the messaging gets sharper because this hunter is feeding real-time market reactions right back to the founder.
So you witnessed the birth of a repeatable sales process.
Yes.
And that is the holy grail for an early-stage company. Once that one builder proves the process works, you finally have the blueprint you need to scale the rest of the team safely.
But, we have to look at the dark side of this equation, too.
We do.
Because the cost of getting this wrong isn't just a lost base salary or a messy severance package. The hidden costs are staggering.
I think people underestimate the burn rate of their addressable market.
Oh, completely.
If you hire a farmer who doesn't know how to navigate complex early-stage objections, they aren't just failing to close deals, they are burning your top 50 prospects.
Yeah.
They're calling the most important potential clients in your market, delivering a weak, feature-based pitch and ruining the relationship. And those leads are gone.
And internally, the wrong processes become embedded in your company culture like a virus.
Oh, that's so true.
If your first hire refuses to prospect, your entire company suddenly develops a culture of waiting for the phone to ring. The founders lose confidence in their ability to hire, they become paralyzed, and progress just stalls completely.
And, in a massive corporation, a bad hire is just a blip. You miss a quarterly quota in one specific territory, and the company absorbs it.
Right.
But in a startup, the impact of one single hire is magnified 1,000 times. One bad sales hire can burn through your runway, stall your momentum, and literally be the difference between securing your next round of funding and closing the doors forever.
It's that serious. So, synthesizing everything we've pulled from Win Nathan Davis's insights today, how should a leader listening right now reorganize their approach?
Okay, we have 3 highly actionable takeaways you can implement the moment this deep dive ends.
Let's hear them.
Takeaway number 1. Define your 4 core fundamentals before you ever publish a job description.
Yes.
You must have absolute clarity on your ideal customer profile, your distinct value proposition, your precise sales motion, and you must have early proof of concept. Stop hiring into a vacuum.
Preach! And takeaway number 2 is a direct challenge to the founders listening. You must be your company's first salesperson.
You have to do it.
You have to step into the kitchen, face the market, and understand your customer deeply enough to write the recipe. You cannot outsource product market fit to a new hire. It is mathematically impossible.
And takeaway number 3. When you finally have the recipe and you are actually ready to hire, you must hire a builder.
A builder.
Look for a sales hunter who can adapt, who can survive in the wilderness, and who generates their own outbound pipeline. Do not get seduced by the impressive resume of a farmer who expects the machinery of a billion-dollar brand to already be built for them.
Because applying those 3 principles shifts your entire scaling strategy from just crossing your fingers and hoping for a miracle to actively engineering a predictable, profitable outcome.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, we want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on. It's essentially a mirror you need to hold up to your current strategy.
Okay.
Are you truly clear on how your business sells? Or are you secretly relying on hidden, unproven assumptions, hoping your next hire will magically figure it all out for you?
That's a tough question. But if you are secretly expecting an outsider to solve your core business model questions, you are setting a trap.
Yep.
You're guaranteeing their failure and you're sabotaging your own growth.
So if you want to secure the top 1% of sales talent, if you want to remove the expensive guesswork and guarantee your company's sales success, you have to do the structural work first.
You really do.
We highly encourage you to dive deeper into these methodologies. Explore the 5-stage sales team scaling system and the Sales Hunter Intelligence Evaluation by visiting thesalesexperts.com. It will fundamentally change how you view your revenue engine.
Build your foundation, structure your evaluation, and hire for the reality of your environment.
So to bring it all back to the question we started with, how much time and budget are you willing to lose on a sales hire that was doomed from day one? Hopefully after this deep dive, your answer is 0. Thanks for exploring this with us.